US Secretary of State Antony Blinken is travelling to Egypt as part of his ongoing push to secure a Gaza ceasefire and release of hostages. Interestingly, Blinken won't be visiting Israel during this latest trip. Blinken's scheduled to meet with Egyptian officials to discuss ongoing efforts to reach a ceasefire in Gaza that secures the release of all hostages, alleviates the suffering of the Palestinian people and helps establish broader regional security. The two biggest obstacles now are Israel's demand to keep its forces in the Philadelphia corridor to maintain a buffer between Gaza and Egypt, and the specifics of an exchange of hostages for Palestinian prisoners held by Israel. Washington and mediators Qatar and Egypt are still working on a revised proposal. The US State Department spokesperson Matthew Miller said that the mediators are ensuring that it is a proposal that can get the parties to an ultimate agreement. Miller said the mediators are working together to decide on what the proposal will contain. The framework now being discussed is reportedly shorter, instead of 3 phases of 6 weeks each. Meanwhile, the US senior coordinator for Gaza on Monday called for an immediate ceasefire, the unconditional release of all hostages, as well as unrestricted humanitarian access.
Time is slipping away as a man-made humanitarian crisis has turned Gaza into the abyss. It cannot be repeated enough. We need an immediate ceasefire, the immediate and unconditional release of all hostages, and unimpeded, continuous humanitarian access to deliver aid at scale throughout the Gaza Strip. The continued lack of effective protection for civilians in Gaza is unconscionable. The infrastructures that civilians rely on must be protected and their essential needs met.
The fear of the war in Gaza spilling into a wider regional conflict has not completely subsided. Hamas chief Yahya Sinwar congratulated Yemen's Houthi group for its missile attack on Israel's Tel Aviv over the weekend. The attack, Sinwar said, sent a message to the foe. Also, tensions persist along the Israel-Lebanon border. Israel's Iron Dome defence system intercepted rockets near the border. This as Israel's Defence Minister Yoav Gallant warned the window was closing for a diplomatic solution to the standoff with Hezbollah. This video on your screen right now was released by Israeli Defence Forces. It's said to show strikes on Hezbollah targets in Lebanon. Well, our correspondent Jodie Cohen joined us earlier to tell us all about the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken's latest visit to Egypt.
Well, Secretary Blinken is scheduled to meet with Egyptian officials to talk about efforts to reach an agreement. Now, senior Biden administration officials have reportedly told families of some of the American hostages that the previous framework of a phased deal is no longer working in the negotiations and that mediators are looking at alternative, perhaps shorter frameworks. No timetable has been announced as yet for a new proposal, and US Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin urged Israel to give the hostage talks more time to succeed before confronting Hezbollah, and Israel has said that time is running out. Meanwhile, US Ambassador Jack Lew said that mediators don't know what Hamas is willing to accept in the talks, and Hamas head Yahya Sinwar sent a message to the Houthis, who, remember, fired a ballistic missile at Israel on Sunday, congratulating the Houthis and saying that Hamas is prepared for a long war of attrition against